You notice when someone's smile doesn't match their eyes. You catch the pause in a conversation that everyone else talks right over. You walk into a room, and within seconds, you know who is comfortable and who is performing. And you've probably never told anyone this because it sounds strange. But sometimes you know something is wrong before there is any evidence. You just feel it, and you are almost always right. If that sounds like you, there is a reason. And it is not some vague gift or sixth sense. It is a specific set of psychological traits that researchers have been studying for decades. 5 traits, actually. 5 patterns that show up again and again in people who notice what everyone else misses. And once you understand them, you'll finally understand why your brain works the way it does. Trait number 1, you process before you react. While everyone else is already responding, you are still taking it in. It looks like hesitation from the outside. Your coworker already answered the question. Your friend already made the joke. You had something better, but the moment passed because you were still turning it over. Psychologists call this depth of processing. It was first identified by researcher Elaine Aron as one of the core pillars of sensory processing sensitivity. In plain English, your brain doesn't just receive information. It runs it through more filters, more comparisons, more contextual layers before it lets you respond. And that is why you are often the last person to speak in a group, but the first person to see the real problem. Not slow, thorough. And the frustrating part is that by the time you've finished processing, the conversation has moved on. The decision's been made. The meeting's over, and you are standing there with the answer nobody asked for, 10 minutes too late, knowing it was the right one. Trait number 2, you absorb other people's emotions without trying. You don't just notice that someone's upset. You feel it in your own body. Your friend is anxious, and suddenly your chest is tight. Your partner is angry, and your stomach drops even though the anger isn't directed at you. It is involuntary. It is instant. And it happens before you even have time to decide whether you want to feel it or not. Neuroscientists discovered that this happens because of what they call the mirror neuron system. When you watch someone experience an emotion, your brain fires the same neural patterns as if you were experiencing it yourself. But in people who notice everything, this system is dialed up significantly. You don't just mirror, you absorb. And the difference between those two things is the difference between watching rain and standing in it. You leave a dinner party carrying the weight of 6 people's moods, and you can't figure out which feelings are yours and which ones you picked up at the door. And here is what nobody warns you about. Other people's emotions take up real space in your body. You carry them home. They sit in your muscles and your jaw and the back of your neck. Most people who absorb like this never learned where their feelings end and someone else's begin. And that boundary, or the absence of it, is the source of half the exhaustion in your life. Trait number 3, you need more recovery time than other people, and you've probably spent your whole life feeling guilty about it. Friday night, and everyone's going out, and you are already calculating whether you have enough energy. Saturday morning, and you are canceling brunch because yesterday took everything you had. And the world tells you that is wrong, that you should be able to bounce back faster. That self-care is a face mask and a long walk, not 12 hours of solitude with the door closed. But research on recovery patterns in highly sensitive individuals shows that they genuinely require more downtime to return to baseline. Not because they're fragile, because their baseline involves processing more data per second than the average person. In plain English, your battery is the same size as everyone else's. You just run more apps. And the guilt you feel about needing that time is the cruelest part, because the guilt itself uses the same energy you are trying to recover. Trait number 4, you have an unusually strong sense of pattern recognition. You see connections that other people don't, not just in data or logic. In people, you notice that your boss always gets short-tempered on Wednesdays, that your friend texts differently when they're about to cancel, that the energy in your family changes 3 days before a holiday. Nobody pointed these patterns out to you. You just see them, like subtitles running at the bottom of every interaction that only you can read. Your brain is cross-referencing current behavior against a massive database of every interaction you've ever observed. And it is doing it without asking your permission. And when the pattern breaks, you feel it before anyone says a word, before there is any visible evidence. You know something shifted. Psychologists call this implicit learning, the ability to detect statistical regularities in your environment without conscious effort. In plain English, you are not psychic. You are running the most sophisticated pattern-matching software human biology can produce, and the output looks like intuition because the processing happens faster than language. Trait number 5. And this is the one that ties everything together. You have a deep need for meaning. Shallow doesn't work for you. Small talk drains you. Surface-level friendships feel hollow. You don't want to know what someone does for work. You want to know what keeps them up at 3 a.m. And this isn't pretentiousness. It is architecture. Your brain was built to go deep. Surface-level data doesn't satisfy the processing system. You've probably been told you are too intense, that you overthink, that you need to lighten up. But those are words people use when your depth makes them uncomfortable with their own surface. And the relationships that work, the ones that actually last, are the ones where the other person can meet you there. So here are your 5 traits: depth of processing, emotional absorption, extended recovery needs, unconscious pattern recognition, and a bone-deep need for meaning. And here is what is fascinating. These aren't 5 separate things. They're 5 expressions of the same underlying neurology. One brain, wired for depth in a world that rewards speed. And that mismatch is the source of nearly everything you struggle with. And the hardest part isn't having these traits. The hardest part is living in a world that constantly tells you they're problems. Too sensitive, too slow, too intense, too tired, too deep. Every single one of your greatest strengths, repackaged as a flaw by people who process the world at a different speed. But here is what you need to understand. The world needs depth processors. It needs people who catch what nobody else catches, who feel what nobody else feels, who see the pattern 3 moves before it plays out, who refuse to stay on the surface when the truth lives underneath. Without you, the room misses what matters. Without you, the conversation stays on the surface. Without you, the pattern goes unnoticed until it is too late. Your brain isn't broken. It never was. It is built for something specific. And the cost of that build, the exhaustion, the overstimulation, the need for silence, isn't a bug. It is the price of admission for the kind of awareness most people will never experience. So stop apologizing for leaving early. Stop apologizing for needing silence. Stop apologizing for the depth that other people aren't equipped to meet. You notice everything others miss because you were built to. Not because you are trying, because your brain won't let you stop. And the 5 traits that make your life harder are the exact same 5 traits that make you irreplaceable. If this hit home, please subscribe. And if you want to support these deep dives into the psychology behind how we work, hit that join button. I would genuinely appreciate your support. Take care of that brain of yours. It is doing more than you know.